Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to teach you everything there is to know about how to read your opponent's move so that you can become a true mind reader. Let's go. So I'm going to take you through every single level of difficulty when it comes to reading your opponent's move, aka figuring out why they played a certain move. So level 1 we have here, when you take a look at the piece's new square where it just arrived, and if that's a direct attack on your piece, that's level 1. That's the simplest way to read a move and figure out why it was played. Then we have level 2, which is a little bit more difficult to catch. So if your opponent plays a move, let's say here, bishop to b6 was played, and you look at the piece's new square, and you see, oh, that's a direct attack, but I have that covered, so that can't be it. It must be something else. And that's where we come to level 2, where the piece on its new square isn't doing a direct attack, but it's setting up a tactic. So here we have a pin on the pawn. That's why black is threatening to take the now undefended g3 pawn. So levels 1 and 2 are relatively easy to take hold of. In level 1, our opponent moves a piece, and it's a direct attack on one of ours. In level 2, your opponent moves a piece, and it's not about the attack, so you check if there's any tactics there. Further levels are a little bit more difficult, but bear with me. Level 3 is about vacating a square for another piece. So if you look at your opponent's move, let's say here rook f7, and it's not a direct attack on one of your pieces, it doesn't set up any tactical chances. Level 3, what else it could be, is it's vacating a square for another of their own pieces. So in order to read this, we're going to have to take a look at where the piece came from, at the piece's old square, so to speak. So rook f7 here was played to either play knight f8, queen f8, or king f8. And in this case, knight f8 seems the most logical to reposition the knight to the king side, and from there maybe cause some further damage. So now you might be thinking, oh man, 3 levels, that's a lot. There's actually 5 of them. So level 4, moving up the board, is moving out of the way for a discovery. So if your opponent plays d6 here, their idea isn't to vacate the old square. It's not about this attack or something. It's about actually opening up the entire diagonal for a discovered attack. Now, these moves are very tricky to spot, especially for lower rated players, because they just zero in on the moved piece. So that's why this is level 4, pretty advanced. So moving out of the way for a discovery, that could be another potential idea why your opponent moved the piece they moved. It's even better for your opponent actually to do d5, because that way the more damage they do with the piece discovering the attack, the bigger the chances that you're actually going to fall for this and be focused in on this attack instead of this one. So there's only one good move here for white, and that's bishop f5 to protect both ideas. But you can only do so if you first read the move correctly. So d5 was played not just to attack the bishop, but also to attack the queen. And finally, the big boss, level 5. Let's see what could possibly be so difficult to read. So we have bishop f6. If you want to try and read this move on your own, please pause the video. I'm spoiling it in 3, 2, 1. So the idea of the move is actually to vacate the square d4 because it was attacked by the queen. So they want to do c4, but their bishop was attacked. In other words, level 5 is making an idea work. Now, this is super difficult to read because you don't know what your opponent wants to do. So reading such a move like bishop f6 is really difficult because most players go through the levels by going, oh, level 1, is there a direct attack? Nope. Level 2, is there a tactic? Nope. There's nothing happening here. Level 3, are they vacating the square for another piece? Nope. No black pieces can reach the d4 square. Level 4, are they moving out of the way for some sort of discovery? Nope. There's no rook on the d file. And then we have level 5 making a strategic idea work. So again, looking at the previous square of the moved piece will help, but there's no guarantee that you will see this. This is really difficult stuff. So bishop d4 was played once again to make c4 work. So that's why in the game knight e3 was played correctly. Now what follows is a series of puzzles and test positions to make sure that this sinks in as best as it can. So first position, what is the purpose of the move bishop e7? So usually there could be one purpose, sometimes there could be multiple, but pause the video, I'm spoiling the solution in 3, 2, 1. So the purpose of bishop e7 is to, first of all, allow bishop h4 check, which looks very deadly. And second of all, so this will be level 1, preparing some sort of direct attack or threat. And level 3 is right here as well, vacating the square to make something else work. For another piece, in this case, a rook or a king. Depends on how you look at it. So that's the idea of this one. Let's move on. Second example, our opponent just played the move knight fd7. That's a strange move in the opening. You would expect development or castling or something like that. But knight fd7, what is the idea? Pause the video. I'm spoiling it in 3, 2, 1. So you might be saying, maybe knight c5. But if that was the case, I'm sure they would have gone there with the other knight. That's also something else to think about. Could they have done that before? Or could they have done that better with another piece? So knight fd7 is a suboptimal way of getting a knight to c5. I would much rather get the undeveloped knight there. So it can't be that. What else could it be? Well, if it's not about the new square, then it must be about the old square or the previous square. So what else does it open? It opens up the pawn, but f5 seems a little bit too early before development. It opens up the bishop, but the bishop is also closed. It opens up the queen, but we seem to just go g3. So this is a really difficult one to read, but let's see what happens if we ignore it. Let's say bishop d3. They go bishop h6. And this was black's idea, because now if we take it, they get queen h4 check and retake the bishop, making a strategically wonderful trade. Because at the start, this was a horrible bishop because of the e5 pawn, and this was a wonderful bishop. Keep that in mind. Another example that we have here, test number 3, we have knight a5 played. What is the idea of this move? Pause it. I'm spoiling it in 3, 2, 1. Well, the idea is simply to vacate the square on c6 to get in the move bishop b5, again making an advantageous trade strategically. So it's not about knight c4 because we just kicked them away with b3. Next position. So here, if you want to pause the video and figure out a5, what is the purpose behind this move? I'm spoiling it in 3, 2, 1. Well, it can't have been about the a5 pawn because there's nothing happening on the b4 square. If they push a4 again, that's not very useful. So it's about vacating the previous square, a7. Do they want to go knight a7? I don't think so. Rook a7? Maybe, but I don't think so. So it's about the rook's control of the a6 square. So that after bishop a6, the bishop will be defended, making another strategically good trade. And the final example, test number 5. So we have a position, we're playing as white, and our opponent played d4. What is the purpose? Pause the video, I'm spoiling it in 3, 2, 1. Well, the purpose of this move is simply to open up this diagonal. If black manages to solve their only problem here of being underdeveloped and get a bishop to c6, they are just doing absolutely amazing. So the purpose of this is to vacate the d4 square to open up, not a discovery, but just another strategic idea. So with that, I'm going to leave you to practice, go through all the levels of difficulty slowly to maximize your chances of living in your opponent's head rent-free. So if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, comment, do all the good stuff, share with your friends, and I'll talk to you very soon. Take it easy.